Hello, guys, and welcome to episode 2 of Ichimi Talks. We are talking about One Piece if you guys are still new. Be sure to watch episode 1 if you haven't, if you're joining us for this journey. So, today we're going to be talking about Syrup Village, the next arc that we just left off on, or we're just starting to talk about now. And the first episode that we get into this arc is the Gaimon arc, aka Chest Guy. And
Yeah,
I'm gonna give more details about that little arc, mini arc.
there's not much, but like
Yeah, man,
You
it's
know-
pretty important.
he did bring some philosophical ideas into the story about the treasure. He talked about the One Piece being a myth and stuff like that. So like that's about all the important stuff you're gonna get out of this arc. I mean, Gaimon's a cool guy, I guess you could say that, but that's
Yeah.
about it.
Very simple arc, nothing really crazy going on there. But then we get into a very key character, and we see him running across the village, yelling "pirates" for his life, almost resembling the boy who cried wolf, because his name is Usopp, the liar, and Uso means liar in Japanese, so that's also a correlation with his name. And if you guys are familiar with the tale Boy Who Cries Wolf, you know, he's always making lies about pirate invasion in the town, and you know, the whole town just ignores him. They always get mad at him, but you know, a turn of events happen. We will find out later where what he is saying is true. But that's our first look at the character.
Yeah, we first get introduced to him. He says he has a whole fleet of 8,000 men. You know, typical lying, you could say.
Oh yes,
But then
typical lying. Usopp.
Luffy sees right through his bluff. Simple stuff. Yeah, and that's his intro.
Even if Luffy didn't, he probably would have took it on everybody.
And then, yeah, the crew so far, the 3 crew members, then they, they talk to Usopp and stuff. They get along. They find out that Usopp is actually Yasopp's son, who is one of the red hair pirates who Luffy recognizes. So that's a cool little callback already.
Yes.
And then the arc moves on, and we see Usopp. He goes to this house, like a mansion, and his friend Kaya is there. There's a new character, and Kaya pretty much is like bedridden with an illness, and Usopp pretty much makes her day every day with the stories he tells, which are lies, but that's like the whole play on that little relationship there.
Yeah, just making her cheer up with the cool fantasy stories he always tells of his heroic pirate deeds and whatnot.
Exactly.
But then you have the annoying ass butler who gets in the way when Usopp's there. Like, what are you doing here? Tries to get him out. Plays the whole don't come into the house, no trespass card and stuff like that.
Yeah, that
So,
guy.
yeah, he gets introduced as Klahadore, the butler Klahadore, but he has a different name, as we'll learn. Different motive. And after that, we get to see this said butler on the beach talking to this guy. He kind of looks like Michael Jackson. His name is Django. Quite the funny character, I'd say.
Yeah. Very strange ability. He uses hypnosis as like his main way of fighting or getting his way with things, but he encounters the butler in this beach, and they're talking about some sort of pirate invasion, because the butler is revealed to be an older pirate who was accused of doing many things, and he was supposed to be executed, but that was all faked, and we find that out. And as we're listening to this conversation, over the cliff you see Luffy and Usopp eavesdropping on the conversation because they were suspicious of where he was going. And how did Luffy fall from the cliff after listening to them? He just fell, or?
If I remember correct, didn't like Django throw something or something, and then he just like he fell on his head off the cliff.
I mean,
I don't
Oh
remember.
no,
I feel
Django
like-
hypnotized them, I think, and he
I
fell
felt like
asleep.
only
He made him fall asleep with the hypnosis, and
Yeah,
then he
so
just
he
fell
fell
off the
down,
cliff.
fell off the cliff.
And then Luffy dies,
Luffy's
and the
dead.
story's over.
Yeah, there you go. No
Yeah.
more
Episode
One Piece. That's
Goodbye.
the end. End
Luffy
of One
just
Piece right there.
falls face first onto the rocks in the bottom of the cliff, and he's presumed dead because no one knows about his rubber abilities yet for the people who are watching that. And the butler's name is revealed to be Kuro, right?
Yeah,
Kuro.
Captain Kuro,
Yeah, Captain Kuro.
the
And
pirate.
after the talk with Django between Kuro, his crew arrives into the island. So now this is an actual pirate invasion that Usopp was warning the whole time. But the previous times he was warning, it was all completely a lie to fool everybody. But now this is the scenario where no one believes him, even though now it's really happening. And there's a whole dilemma going on with Usopp losing his mind because he can't stop anything. No one will believe him.
And there was a whole little like goose chase here because Usopp had told the crew like that the pirates were coming on the beach where they first found out about Kuro, and he was talking to Django, but it was on the opposite side. So there was like a little confusion there. So the group was a little bit split up. And then eventually, obviously, everybody gets to the main location, and that's where
And-
the fighting begins.
We also have right now Django boosting everybody with his hypnosis, but also manages to boost Luffy as well.
And to this day, in the current chapter of One Piece, Luffy still has that boost, that power boost.
Exactly. That power boost is still what gives Luffy the edge of everything.
Yeah, so obviously he boosts the fodder. It doesn't matter. Luffy's Luffy. Beats all of them. And then, we have Kaya. Obviously she adores the butler. She pretty much grew up with him. And then she finds out the real plan that he had to take the inheritance and make Kaya write a will for him in his name so he could get all the family's money.
Right.
Yeah.
Which, pirate things. A bit of a non thought out plan because of the way it turned out, but it is what it is. And we continue with the fighting. We got Zoro versus the brothers, the Cat brothers, whatever you call them,
Uchi and
Uchi and
Sham.
Sham. Yeah, and that proceeds as you'd think. Simple fighting. Zoro, OP at this point in the story.
And we got Luffy versus Kuro.
He deals with them easily.
Yeah.
Then we get to Luffy versus Kuro, and we kind of touch up on the beginning of that, but then we cut away to Usopp, who is on the other side of the map because of the whole confusion, and Usopp defeats Django as Django is trying to make Kaya sign the will and kill her basically. So that happens, but then Usopp, his father was a
Sniper.
marksman, so he
A good
learned
sniper,
with that. So he used his slingshot, put it to use, and he takes out Django, saves Kaya. Yeah, and then we cut back to Luffy and Kuro. And Kuro, he has this ability where he pretty much just attacks like everything in the vicinity, and he even attacked his own crew.
His entire crew, basically
And
just
Luffy-
cutting him up with his finger blades.
Yeah, and
basically
Luffy
like
gets
a-
mad at that.
A One Piece version of Freddy Krueger over here, like.
Yeah, he has the claws and everything, but he
Ex-
takes out a lot of his crew, and Luffy's mad that a captain is taking out his own crew. So Luffy, he does his thing, and he beats Kuro pretty easily with the Gomu Gomu no cane, whatever you want to call it.
Devil
Then-
powers. Yep.
Yeah, just a little bit of demonic stuff, and then
Kaya
We-
is very grateful for everything that goes on.
yeah, we cut
So grateful.
back to the happy moment. Everyone's defeated. All the Straw Hats are together.
And
They're with
then
Usopp and
we finally get given the first ship of the Straw Hat Pirates, the Going Meri.
Yep, they get the Going Merry, named after the other butler we forgot to mention, who is actually a good guy who got caught up in all this mess with Kuro and everything.
Yep.
Yeah, and he's pretty much responsible for making this ship and everything. And they give it to the current Straw Hats. And as everything's wrapping up, you got Usopp with his massive bag, pretty much breaking a hole through his house.
Yeah.
And he
just packs
rolls
his whole
down.
house.
He rolls down all the way to the ship, And Luffy asks him, "You gonna join the crew? You gonna get on the ship or what?" And guess what? Obviously, Usopp joins the crew, and that wraps up our Syrup Village arc, and that's it. That's Syrup Village. Pretty simple arc.
Yep.
Nothing much, as you'll find with the beginning of One Piece. There's not much going on. But this next arc, this, in my opinion, is where it starts to pick up.
Definitely.
This is a good arc.
I could agree.
So, in between, well, first of all, this arc is called the Baratie. It's named after a restaurant, a seafaring restaurant, floats on the water. You know, allows a lot of visitors and stuff like that. And in between, obviously, Syrup Village and Baratie, everyone's on the ship, and Luffy, he tries making a Jolly Roger, which pretty much is like the symbol for your like crew.
If you have a
And-
black flag, that's the symbol of you being a pirate.
But Luffy isn't the best artist, I would say. Like, he's definitely great, but
I
he's
ain't gonna
not.
lie. I saw that art and I was like, shit. Why didn't they just use that as the flag?
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but you know, Usopp with his extreme skills comes in handy, draws a perfect Jolly Roger that to this day is still the Jolly Roger of the Straw Hat Pirates.
Exactly.
Yep. Very iconic symbol.
Right
So-
now, like they all want to get comfortable and test out their new cannons.
Yeah, so as they're progressing to the Baratie, they see the Baratie, but they're like, oh, let's test out some of the power on this ship, right? So they test out the cannons, and they shoot at these two guys on a ship, which their names are Johnny and Yosaku, who just happen to be friends of Zoro, which Zoro points out, and you know they hop on the ship, they befriend each other, and then you know Luffy he has a thought, like, because you know Luffy's a very hungry man, so he's like, what do we need on this crew?
Well,
Guess what? A cook.
They need a
Of
cook.
course.
And it's perfect because where are they heading? They're heading to a restaurant.
There
So-
you go.
You know, Johnny and Yosaku, they tell the crew about the restaurant, which is nearby. It happens to be nearby. And the crew, they arrive at the Baratie, the said restaurant. And they see this Marine on the way. And they try shooting said Marine with the cannon. But it goes wrong. And the cannon goes directly into the roof of the Baratie.
Actually, if I
Which-
remember correctly, the Marine shot at them and Luffy deflected it, deflecting onto the restaurant.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they were just trying to defend themselves and that backfired, so
Yeah. So, yeah, they got into a little scuffle.
yeah.
And Luffy, you know, it's unfortunate he gets the blame for it. But then, you know, Luffy gets on into the restaurant. He gets on. They park the boat, and Luffy meets the owner of the restaurant, which is obviously very pissed with the hole in his fucking roof of the restaurant.
He has a very
So-
long hat.
Yeah, he's quite the chef, I'd say.
Yeah, quite the master
name is-
chef, Zeph.
Zeph the chef, dude.
I always known
Owner is
him as the Gordon Ramsay of One Piece, right there.
Yeah, when the live action One Piece comes out in a couple of years, Gordon Ramsay is gonna be cast as the actor for
chef.
Zeph. Hopefully.
Yeah, they
Fingers
better.
crossed. So Luffy's talking with Zeph. Zeph is like, bro, you gotta pay for this roof somehow. So he basically tells Luffy that he has to work there to pay off all the damages for the roof.
He has to work there for a year.
He has to work there for a year. So after that whole conversation happens, we see this character, yellow-haired, curly eyebrows, smoking, and he's in the restaurant. He's serving the Marine.
One of the captain, I
What do
think.
you call it? I think it was the guy that shot at
Full body.
at Luffy, which deflected the cannonball. It was the same guy,
Yeah.
and
Was his name Full
know-
Body?
yeah, full body. He puts a fly in his soup, which if I remember correctly, and then tries complaining about the soup and blames it on the restaurant.
I mean, no.
Sanji-
At first, like he got embarrassed by Sanji because he asked for like a specific wine. Sanji gave him the wine, and then he tried like impressing the girl he was with about this wine, saying how magnificent, and this is called whatever it was. Sanji's like, nah, you're just wrong. Are you fucking stupid?
yeah,
Yeah,
And then
Sanji
that-
just
know it all.
embarrasses him with every try and maneuver he's trying to do to impress the girl or to complain, and it just backfires on him completely, and he causes a ruckus, and Sanji's basically getting ready to fight this guy because he's getting super angry.
Yeah. Sanji is borderline about to kill this guy because he
Listen,
started insulting the food and everything.
If there's one thing Sanji hates, it's wasted food. When the guy threw that shit on the floor, he was making sure he's gonna fucking eat that entire shit up.
Yeah, and we'll
Yeah,
get
and
why
Yeah.
Sanji hates people wasting food based off him as a child growing up. You'll see his story, but
And we
he
won't get to that.
encounters that guy, and then later on, a pirate named Jin, a member of the Dawn Creek pirates, arrive, and that's a very big name for pirates. Very scary tale, you could say. And he arrives at the restaurant, demanding food.
Yeah, and he's like distraught, starving, visibly starving. You can see him, and he's like crawling in basically. And then, obviously they refuse him food. He's the member of like an infamous pirate group in the East Blue. They recognize the pirate group. They're like, nah, we can't give a pirate food. That's not how it works. If you want food, you pay for it.
Right.
But then, obviously that whole scuffle happens, and then a couple minutes later, you see Sanji. He's making food for this Jin guy, and he brings it to him secretly in the back, because Sanji is a very thoughtful individual when it comes to food. Because, as Dorian said in the flashback, there was a little situation where Sanji and Zeph, they were without food for quite a while, so they were pretty much starving. So I'm pretty sure that's why Sanji understood the pain, and he
Yeah,
made him
Sanji
food,
knows
obviously.
firsthand what a starving person would feel like because he's
Exactly.
experienced it for who knows how long he's been starving ever since the whole event happened in his childhood. But
And this becomes a pattern with Sanji. No matter who it is, he's gonna feed you if you're hungry. That's just how he is.
right,
He's just that thoughtful of a person to know that you hungry? There we go. I got you, fam.
But then,
I'll make sure to feed you.
despite Sanji's efforts and his well-being and how nice he is, Jin, obviously pirate,
This
annoying ass pirate,
motherfucker.
he goes and tells the infamous captain Don Krieg about the restaurant, and then Krieg and the crew with his giant galleon, a very big ship, arrive at the restaurant, and Krieg gets on, also starving, and demands food. So, obviously not a good situation. And then they obviously don't give him food this time. Sanji didn't give him food because he just learned his lesson from Jin betraying him pretty much. And they, like, the whole restaurant, the chefs and everything, pretty much start battling it out with this Don Krieg, all because of them not giving him food and him, being annoying, bringing trouble. So Krieg's crew was also starving, and despite all this little scuffle that happened, like between the chefs and everything, the owner Zeph, he gives a bag of food to like the crew because he finds out that Krieg's whole crew is starving. So obviously, Sanji, having learned from Zeph, they share some of the same characteristics to not leave people starving, which, it could be good, it could be bad, but obviously in this situation, it's not a good thing.
Yeah.
And so, in all of this, a battle has commenced between the restaurant chefs, the owner Sanji, and the Krieg pirates. So, yeah, and during all this,
All
the
the Straw
scrap-
Hats thought of that was getting the Mary out of there and wait
Yeah.
for the battle so doesn't get. But unfortunately, they get backstabbed by a simple orange-haired girl, and she ends up taking the Mary.
yeah, so in the search of the ship to try and move it away, they find out the ship is nowhere to be found. So, and they know Nami's nowhere to be found. So, she took the ship, took it to who knows where. Right. And Zoro and Usopp and Johnny, if I'm not mistaken, they plan to go out. But while they're planning to go out on a tiny ship, this very menacing dude, who so far in the story, this guy probably has the best design out of anybody I've seen at this point, and his name is Dracula Mihawk. Who,
His entrance was quite amazing.
yeah, he
Slices the galleon in half.
one slice of his sword, the giant, who knows how big galleon, huge pirate ship, just gets sliced in half. by this one dude riding in on a little
Little
sailboat,
raft, basically.
little raft sailboat. And this guy, we get his whole title card and everything. His name is Dracula Mihawk, and he turns out to be the strongest swordsman in the world at this point, I guess you could say. And emerges from the rubble. Zoro, obviously having ambitions to be the strongest swordsman, he knows who this guy is. He's the strongest swordsman in the world. So Zoro recognizes him, and Zoro, he wants to be the strongest swordsman in the world. So what's he gonna do to become the strongest? He has to beat the strongest, right?
But
So-
he's not known as the strongest swordsman in the world for nothing. So
Yeah. So Zoro, trying to achieve his ambitions, he tries fighting Mihawk, and Mihawk, obviously has that big sword that cut down the ship, but he feels Zoro just doesn't have enough for him to use that. So he takes a piece off of his necklace, which is basically like a little kitchen knife.
Yeah, not
Barely
even, like
even
a
that.
miniature dagger, and he just 1v1s
And
him
he-
with that.
He uses that one sword while Zoro's using 3 swords on him, 3 real size katanas, and he dominates Zoro that whole time. But Mihawk, while battling this, he sees Zoro's spirit, and he understands his ambition to become the strongest swordsman. So he was about to kill Zoro pretty much, and Zoro told him, "Are you gonna what do you say?"
Well, basically Zoro, like Mihawk was basically impressed with Zoro's courage that he wanted to fight him as a true
He
swordsman.
was gonna
So
say,
he
"You're gonna let me die" or something.
No, he pulled out his sword and then they had a clash, and obviously Zoro lost the clash while having 2 of his swords destroyed.
Oh, yeah.
But
And
but here's the
Zoro-
thing though, Zoro turned around because having scars on the back isn't what a swordsman wants, and Mihawk literally like gets intrigued by this, and he's like spoken as a true swordsman, and gets slashed by Mihawk, like through his.
Mihawk slashes Zoro,
Yeah, he slashes Zoro in
During
his
his
entire
life,
chest.
but
Yeah.
leaving him like a breath away from death, pretty much, with this slice with this giant sword.
Yes.
And yeah, so that all happens. Zoro's almost dead, and as this happens, he calls out to Luffy. He tells him, he apologizes to him and says, "I will never lose again until I can beat this man right here, the strongest swordsman in the world." So
And he will become the king of the pirates.
yeah, so after all this happens, a fight commences between Sanji and Jin, like as the whole fight between the Krieg pirates and the Baratier was happening. And they fight. Sanji, we see some of his kicking like strats and everything, because that's how he fights. 'Cause
He
Sanji-
refuses to use his hands for anything other than cooking. So Sanji
Yeah.
mainly only focuses on kicks.
Yeah, very cool fighting style, if I might say.
Mm-hmm.
So, Krieg being frustrated with how the battle's happening and the Baratier chefs having the upper hand against his pirates, his starving pirates, he throws a gas grenade for some reason, even though it's about to take out his whole crew as well. So, as that happens, Luffy, we saw this pattern with Kuro as Kuro was attacking his own crew. He gets angered by this, and he goes straight to attack Krieg. So
Obviously beats Krieg. I'm pretty sure he uses the the Gomu Gomu no bazooka.
yeah, so during this fight, Krieg was like bringing out all these gadgets and stuff, and Luffy was just like beating every single gadget until eventually he did end up beating him easily.
Because
So-
nothing is more powerful than rubber.
So, but right after we thought Krieg was beat, Krieg unleashes a final attack and Luffy gets thrown into the ocean. And we see Sanji with a heroic savior moment. And he gets Luffy out of the ocean because Luffy can't swim because he's a double fruit user.
It sounds a
that's-
bit familiar, don't you think? It sounds like the way he got saved by Zeph.
Yep. And as that happens, obviously we see Sanji was Sanji was drowning and Zeph had his leg stuck in a chain pretty much, and he cuts off his own leg to go and save Sanji.
Right.
And
And
That's
obviously,
pretty much-
Sanji was confused on why he saved him when they were trying to like rob the entire ship. because
Yeah, because
Zeph was
Zeph-
also a pirate,
Red Leg Zeph,
Red Leg
as that
Zeph.
used to be. Red Leg.
And
Keep
then
that
the
in mind.
reason was because the Sanji had the same exact dream as Zeph did, to
Yep.
find the all blue.
Yeah, so Luffy and Sanji have a whole conversation. Luffy's trying to convince him to join the crew. Sanji's not having it. And then Sanji tells him about his dream to find the all blue. And I'm pretty sure that was after Luffy told him he wants to become the king of the pirates. So that kind of inspired Sanji. He respected Luffy because of that ambition and goal he had. So that kind of convinced him to join the crew. He was convinced. And then after that, he makes soup for pretty much the whole restaurant after the whole commotion was down. And the everyone working at the restaurant, they tried playing it off as the soup sucked just so Sanji would join the crew because they want him to join and achieve his ambitions, right?
They try to fool
But-
him into making him leave and join the other crew.
But Sanji, he overhears them afterwards saying that the soup is good from the other side of the room, so he understands. And then after this, Sanji goes outside of the Bratier, the front where it's all destroyed, and he gets very emotional, starts thanking everyone at the restaurant, especially Zeph, because he knows he's about to depart on a long adventure with the Straw Hats.
After all
that's-
the years you spent with Zeph and all the things
Yeah.
they've been through, yeah, very emotional scene.
Yeah, and he gets on his hands and knees, emotional, crying, everything. It's a very good scene. And that's when Sanji joins the Straw Hats. That's our fifth Straw Hat. We got Luffy, Zoro, Nami, Usopp, and Sanji so far.
Hey, wait. Nami, we can't say Nami yet. Nami stole the ship, okay? Come on.
She's technically still part of the crew. She's just going on a little mission.
Yeah, and we'll get to that arc in the next episode.
The next episode of
But
Ichimi.
this
Talks.
arc ends with Sanji, Yosaku, and Luffy beginning to catch up with Zoro, Johnny, and Usopp, who had left during the battle after Zoro pretty much almost died. They left to try and catch Nami
Right.
with the ship.
Basically,
And then Sanji,
a
Yosaku,
whole
Luffy.
train of snake catching. You got
Yeah,
Nami
a whole goose
escaping,
chase.
Whole goose
They
chase.
don't know where she's going. They're just
They have no idea where to go. But Nami, unfortunately, knows exactly where she's going. So,
yeah, and yeah, them three they catch up to the other three who are trying to catch up with Nami, and it's a whole goose chase. So that's the end of the arc. That's where the Baratier arc ends. Pretty good arc. The first, like, good arc in One Piece. A very memorable arc, even to me, who have seen all of it. So, what are you guys' thoughts on this arc?
No, it's one of the
oh, amazing arc. Oh,
one
what
of
can
the
I say?
points where it really picks up the pace. Like everything else was very slow and simple, but this arc is where things really pick up, and you get to see a lot of new characters and learn a lot of new things with their
Yeah.
past stuff.
One thing, One
A lot
Piece-
of the
one
patterns
thing- okay.
from One Piece is they start here. You'll see, as you read on this story, you'll see a lot of references back to this and a lot of how the story picks up in reference to this and stuff like that. So it's a very good. It's pretty much like the intro to this story, other than the little side arcs we already had before this.
One thing that makes One Piece just really interesting is that they don't make things simple with the other crewmates. Like they make sure each crewmate has their own desire and their own unique style of fighting, and that's what's really good about it.
Yeah. So
Alright,
that's the episode.
Thank you for watching. We'll see you in episode 3 when we discuss Arlong Park.